Today, Russian military analysts officially confirmed that Russian forces have retreated from the last section of the Dnipropetrovsk region that they had managed to take under their control. The fact that even typically pro-war Russian sources are admitting this is particularly revealing. Rather than blaming overwhelming Ukrainian superiority alone, several Russian analysts angrily point to failures within Russia's own command structure, which failed to provide the reserves that could have stabilized the sector, leaving the Russian group of forces east without enough manpower to hold its positions. The criticism extends beyond battlefield conditions to the general staff itself, with open accusations about poor force allocation, systematic planning failures, and the inability to transition from offensive operations to an organized defense. The withdrawal comes after weeks of relentless Ukrainian pressure in what became one of the most difficult sectors for Russian troops. The 79th Air Assault Brigade released footage showing enemy infiltration groups from the Russian 90th Tank Division being detected almost immediately after moving forward and then systematically eliminated with FPV drones, bomber drones, artillery, and follow-up clearing operations by Ukrainian Special Forces operators. This is only one example of what has happened along the entire line, with full Russian battalions suffering devastating losses, attempting to maintain positions under constant aerial surveillance until being completely eliminated. Instead of establishing stable defensive lines, many units were reduced to rotating small infantry groups into exposed positions, where they were hunted continuously. The cumulative attrition eventually made holding the remaining foothold increasingly difficult, even before the shortage of reinforcements became critical. The main reason reinforcements never arrived appears to be Russia's strategic prioritization of Donbass. Capturing the remaining Ukrainian-held territory in the Donetsk region remains Vladimir Putin's primary military objective, and available reserves continue flowing toward that part of the front line instead of secondary sectors. This leaves commanders elsewhere, like in Dnipropetrovsk, forced to defend with increasingly exhausted formations. Logistics compounded the problem as the village of Bakhatyr, serving as Russia's main supply hub in the last area under Russian control here, has been heavily devastated after prolonged fighting. Its destruction severely complicates concealment of equipment, ammunition, and troop concentrations. Even if additional reserves had become available, moving and sustaining them through such an exposed logistical node would have been increasingly difficult under persistent Ukrainian reconnaissance and strikes. Faced with mounting losses, insufficient manpower, and deteriorating supply conditions, Russian commanders appear to have concluded that maintaining the remaining positions was no longer practical, so the remaining forces retreated under heavy Ukrainian fire. This withdrawal also completes a broader Ukrainian effort across the area, where the Dnipropetrovsk region borders both the Donetsk and the Zaporizhia regions. During recent weeks, Ukrainian counteroffensive operations steadily liberated settlements and pushed Russian troops back across multiple sectors. The remaining pocket represented the last fragment of Russian control inside the region, but Ukrainian advances gradually compressed this position from several directions, until the Russians found themselves defending a salient with shrinking logistical support and no realistic prospect of reinforcement. Instead of launching another costly attempt to stabilize the front, Russian forces ultimately abandoned the area altogether. Overall, the outcome in the Dnipropetrovsk region shows how Ukrainian battlefield pressure and wrong Russian priorities can combine to produce operational collapse for the Russians. Ukrainian counteroffensives inflicted the initial setbacks, but the decisive factor was Russia's inability to reinforce the sector after concentrating all available reserves on the Donbas campaign. As Ukrainian attacks continued, Russian commanders found themselves without fresh units to plug the widening gaps. The result was not merely another tactical withdrawal under fire, but the complete loss of Russia's remaining foothold in the Dnipropetrovsk region, achieved through sustained Ukrainian counterattacks and a Russian command structure that effectively sacrificed this sector to sustain another. Every report that you watch takes time, research, and a lot of work to produce. By becoming a channel member, you directly support the team and help us continue creating detailed, independent coverage. In return, you receive exclusive tactical videos, strategic updates, and geopolitical analysis available only to members. Click Join below to support our work and gain access to the complete members-only library.